Welcome to Wibble Watch, where football becomes an emotional roller coaster. Today we're calling out the experts and their most ridiculous moments. From bold predictions gone wrong to epic flip-flops. If you love watching pundits trip over their own words, subscribe and stick around for more football chaos.
Yeah, I'm no further forward with him in respect to the jury's out. I think he's well off it compared to the other signings that United made up on Cunha and Mbeumo. He looks awkward. He had a couple of really good opportunities in the first half where balls just got played over and his touch wasn't right. For £80 million, I mean, you can say he's young, he's got a lot of potential. He's only settling in, but you still want to see a little bit.
From Neville, and it's something I want to speak about is Ruben Amorim's comments on pundits, how true that is and how reflective that is of Gary Neville. All right, so if you listen to it at the start there, he went in on it really after he was speaking on NBC Sports, saying that he's well off it compared to the other signings. He's looking awkward, and for 80 million you can say he's young and settling in, but you still want to see a bit more. First thing I want to say about that, 80 million, Gary, I have no idea where you're putting that one out. It's 74 million if all the add-ons are paid. And it was actually 66.3 million up front. So first of all, that's an inflated figure. And second of all, I think a fairer assessment, and I'm not even having my red-tinted specs on here, but Gary Neville should have his bloody red-tinted specs on. He's completely lost them, and this idea of being impartial is just... But in the 3 starts he's had prior to that, Gary, he's got 2 goals and an assist. I actually think when he came off the bench at Anfield, I think he was a pest as well for Liverpool. I think Šeško's actually been playing all right. Is he scoring every single game? No. But if you look at Gyökeres versus Šeško, we need to speak about that. If you want to go further, speak about Isak. But it's just disappointing to see Gary Neville where he is now. And I actually want to bring this back to what Ruben Amorim said in the build-up to the game, because he was asked, of course, about Sean Dyche's comments about the fact that if I was manager of United, I would probably win more games. And this was Ruben Amorim's response. And listen to this bit here, because in particular this bit applies to what I'm speaking about with Gary Neville.
But then I can look at Sean Dyche as a manager and then as a pundit. If you are a pundit and you don't say very strong things, I don't want to watch you.
That is the way it goes these days.
And Gary Neville has tried to appease the neutrals so much that he comes across as openly anti-United. The quote from this weekend, talking about how well Šeško and Mbeumo have settled in. Let me get the exact wording of it, because I think the exact wording of it is what's required. He looks awkward. Does he look awkward? I have to disagree that he looks awkward. I don't think he looks awkward in the slightest. He had a good couple of opportunities against Forest, but his touch wasn't quite right. Right, okay, so he's getting opportunities. You could maybe agree that his touch wasn't quite right, and obviously the finish wasn't quite right, but guy was crowded out. He's playing against a team that are notorious for denying space in the centre of the box. For 80 million, it wasn't 80 million, was it, Gary, for starters? You can say he's young and settling in, but you still want to see a bit more. So it's all about the framing of what he said here. Now, I could say exactly what he said and flip it in a way that sounds positive. That sounds encouraging. Now you could say, Šeško's come to a new league, we've spent a lot of money on him. The manager's took his time, embedded him into the squad, and he started to score. Looks like he's got the potential. I think he'll get there. Let's let him settle in. And I think United have got a real player on their hands there. I haven't actually said the detail of what I've said is not any different. But the mood of it, the mode of, the way it's delivered is different. Or you could flip it another way. And you can say, Šeško was the gamble out of the 3 forwards. But even he started scoring. I tell you what though, how good the Cunha and Mbeumo look. They've been incredible signings. Rather than just say, like, totally almost dismissing the fact that Mbeumo and Cunha have come in and look fantastic. Like, he's like, yeah, they've settled in well. No. People have settled in well. They've not settled in well. They've been fucking incredible, Gary. Let's have it right. They've been absolutely top. So let's call it that. Let's call it absolutely mega, because that's exactly what they've been. It's like, why is there this need to put United down? You know, I saw there an article. Rashford scored his second goal in La Liga, right? Šeško scored that many, but he's a flop and he looks awkward, and you want to see more. But Rashford's mega, and he scored 2. Why can't United have a biased United fan? Did we ruin that many childhoods?
Can you really compare Benjamin Šeško to players, you know, up to 4 years older than him with much more Premier League experience and experience under their belts? I think it's harsh. I do think it's harsh. I understand Gary Neville's concerns. I mean, first and foremost, it wasn't 80 million. I think it was around 70 million, wasn't it, Benjamin Šeško's fee? I mean, let me get up his fee in complete Benjamin Šeško transfer fee, because I want to make sure it was 66.26 million with 7.36 million in add-ons, so just touching over 70 million pounds if he achieves his add-ons. But without add-ons, it's 66.26 million pounds. So it's not 80 million when you look at it. So it's cheaper than what he was saying. People get transfer fees wrong. It happens. It's annoying when you over egg the pudding and you kind of estimate it over, especially because it makes us look a little bit worse in that sense. But £66.26 million is what Benjamin Šeško has cost Manchester United without the add-ons. Okay, I understand some of his concerns. When he says he's awkward and well off it, I think that's a bit harsh. I think he is adapting to the Premier League and he's not as quick and as sharp as Cunha and Mbeumo right now. He's a young striker that is adapting and playing in a team that is only just finding their feet. And then, when you look at the comparison to Cunha and Mbeumo, this is what I had to say on it, because although Benjamin Šeško doesn't look like the complete finished article, he has shown promising signs. He had a poor game against Nottingham Forest, but I thought Cunha had a poor game against Nottingham Forest, to be honest with you, and I still think Cunha's a top player. I thought Benjamin Šeško, when he's played, has actually shown some really promising signs. He's not actually played that many minutes. He's had a couple cameos, he's got 2 goals, and I think it was his first full 90 minutes against Nottingham Forest, if I'm not wrong. So he's not actually had a full 90 minutes up until that game, and it wasn't a good game from him. It wasn't a good game from a few players. I thought Cunha fell into the bracket where he didn't play too well in that game. I thought against Brighton, he had a couple of moments where he probably should have done better, and I think he should have scored against Brighton actually, and some of his touches look really clumsy. But I think that he's adjusting to the pace of the Premier League and adjusting to his teammates as well. He's a lot younger than Cunha and Mbeumo, and he's had one bad game and we're already, you know, getting onto him, a young player that's just come into Manchester United's side. I think just give him time. I think at Christmas, I said when Benjamin Šeško first came in, I'm not going to fully assess him until it gets to Christmas. Cunha and Mbeumo, I'm going to be right on them too, because I've seen them throughout the Premier League for multiple years and I know what they're capable of. They are top quality players. We knew what we were signing with Cunha and Mbeumo. They are ready now. Benjamin Šeško is coming into a new league. He's a young striker. He's not got any more experience ahead of him in that striker spot that he can learn off. And it's a new country. I'm going to give him till Christmas before I say anything really about him. I want to praise him, I want to support him, because that's what I think we should do with new players coming into the football club, especially young players with a heavy price tag on their back and a lot of pressure. However, when you walk into Manchester United, you know who you're signing for. Of course, there's expectations, but I just think give the lad a little bit of time. I think it was his first time against Nottingham Forest where I thought, that's a poor performance. That's a poor performance, to be fair. A lot of attacks broke down because of him. He didn't play very well. Before that, I've seen really good elements of his play. I've seen mixed parts of play, and I've seen a few things where I thought, oh, we could improve that. But it's been mixed up until the Nottingham Forest game, and there's been some really good things you can take away from it. So I don't want to just jump on a kid when he doesn't have a very good game for Manchester United, but it is Manchester United. You are going to be in the headlines. There is going to be a magnifying glass on you. That's the way it is, and you know that when you sign for the club. But when I saw Gary Neville's quotes earlier on today, I put a tweet out, and this is what I said, because this kind of summarises how I feel about it. Benjamin Šeško wasn't my number one choice, but I really want to get behind the player because he has the basics. He's a presence up front. I think he is good on the ball, despite the fact against Forest he didn't show that too often. He has a great attitude, and he really wants to work. He's got the right behaviours, he's got the right mannerisms. I like his personality and his application. So, and we've signed him now, and he's our player, and we've got to get behind him. So I said this about Neville's comments on Šeško. I said, personally, I think this is a bit unfair on the player. Cunha and Mbeumo were always going to be hits and are prime examples of why we need to be going for experienced Premier League players who are entering their prime. Šeško is a development player. This move has come younger and earlier in his career than the likes of Mbeumo and Cunha, plus he's adapting to a new country and a new league. You can criticise the recruitment for going down that road and not favouring the more experienced option, but the player himself needs time. And it's the same story over and over again. Like, Højlund got thrown into this as well. Young player that wanted to learn off a more experienced striker, and everything was put on his back and we didn't have anyone to help him through. Šeško, young player coming in, I actually think is at a better level than Højlund was when we brought Højlund in. I think he's got a bit more experience playing Champions League football, international football, and I think he's got a bit more about him than what Højlund had when he came in. But similar situations where it's a new league, new country, both young, both adapting, and straight away you expect him to be Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland is literally a robot. And you've got to allow players that adjustment time to adapt. And there's so many other situations at other clubs where players come in and they look like such a rough diamond, but they're given time, they're given patience, and they're not put under as much of a spotlight as Manchester United players are, because Manchester United is just one of the biggest clubs in the world, so you're under a spotlight immediately. And then they end up coming through it, and they end up being a top Premier League player. I mean, do you think when Cunha was at Šeško's age, he was doing what he's doing now? Do you think when Mbeumo was at Šeško's age, he was doing what he's doing now? Like, they've both grown in to English football and the Premier League through quite a lot of years of experience. I mean, Mbeumo was playing in the Championship. I mean, Cunha's played in multiple different leagues at multiple different clubs, and they are a lot older than Benjamin Šeško as well. I mean, Benjamin Šeško is, and this is why, by the way, I think we should be going for Premier League proven players entering the prime, which I've said multiple times before, and I wish Manchester United would do it more. Benjamin Šeško is 22 years old, right? And then if you look at Cunha, I think Cunha and Mbeumo are very similar ages. Cunha's 26, and Mbeumo is also, I think, 26. Let me check. Mbeumo is 26 as well. Both of them 26 years old, 4 years older than Benjamin Šeško. That's 4 years more of experience. And you're comparing them two players. And Mbeumo and Cunha were brought in for the now, and that's what they're delivering. We also needed a striker for the now, in my opinion, which is why at the time I said I don't think Ollie Watkins is a world beater, but I probably would go for him because he knows the Prem and he's ready for now. He's the guy to get us up to 5th. And then when we get into them Champions League spots, we then go again for the next level of striker that can take us to, competing for a title. I never thought Ollie Watkins was the end result, but I thought at least he knows the league, at least he's Prem proven. We end up going for Šeško. He's got a great reputation throughout Europe as a young striker that's a developmental type striker. He is now, come in and he needs to learn, he needs to adapt, and he's not going to be the finished product straight away. But we need to nurture him. We need to get in potentially a more experienced striker to help him, and we need to be patient with him, because he has got the capabilities and the ability to be a top striker in a couple of years' time. That is what he's got. Imagine in a couple of years' time, 24 years old, and he's at the level that we expect. He's at the top level. He's got the attributes, but patience is a virtue in football, and you do need it. And while he's working, while he's climbing up that ladder of becoming the best version of himself, He needs support around him. Cunha and Mbeumo are that support because they are more experienced and at a higher level. You know, Bruno can be that support. But when Ben Jacobs came on the show and said, United, I wouldn't rule out going for Harry Kane, people kind of looked down on that. Oh, we've got Šeško. You need multiple players in each position, and I think Šeško would benefit super highly off someone coming in for 2 years like a Harry Kane or like an experienced striker and just, you know, give him a little bit of a helping hand. For example, like what Cavani was for us. Cavani, I know he was injured a lot, but what he would have taught them players in training and his movement and his experience, it's invaluable. And I think Šeško could really learn off someone like that, to be honest with you. But I think he will be a good player, and I think we need to build our players up rather than going for the next as soon as they have one bad performance at 22 years old, just adjusting and just having the first 90 minutes in the Prem. I mean, come on now. But let me know what you think about that.